Gene Schwartz, Forward Reviews.
Yeah.
About 10 or 15 years ago, I think there were 65,000 ISBNs a year issued. The wisdom now is that it's over 1 million. Readers found books, and books found readers in a much smaller universe of titles.
Yeah.
Do you have any comments about how books are finding readers and readers finding books with this huge increase in the number of titles that are coming into the marketplace?
Yeah, I definitely think that this is a case where the demand and the economics are not lined up. A lot of what the web teaches us is that there is a long tail of content. I mean, Chris Anderson's long tail idea was better than his free idea. Because of course, things like the iPad and iPhone are showing us that people are quite happy to pay for content. And there's this new paid content economy that's coming on stream, which is really nice. But the long tail is something that really fights with traditional book economics. One of the things, I gave a number of talks about this about 4 or 5 years ago. One of the things that we saw very much in an analysis of our Safari Books Online subscription service, and also in our analysis of our Google Book search results, so all the books are available there, was that the head comes down, the tail gets fatter, and when you think about the economics of that, the total revenue that is delivered to us as a publisher, say at this point for us is, it's getting up to be about 25% of our, print revenue from various kinds of electronic book formats, but it's distributed differently. It doesn't match that, sort of front list, model that you tend to have in print, because it could well be, because what the truth is that there's a bunch of books out on the tail where electronic is 100% of the revenue, and 60% of the revenue, 50% of the revenue, and it's maybe 12% on that front list. So the dollars are distributed differently, and while that that royalty check to the guy out on the tail where it's 100% is nice, it's not big enough to incent him to say, oh yeah, I want to write another book. And meanwhile, the guy up on the head who has maybe just written his book is saying, wow, this is a sort of a small part of my overall mix. It's not, it's not that big for me yet, And so there's this interesting sort of transition economics that we're just going to have to suffer with for a while. And I think that we should all be trying very hard to grow our digital book revenue. We should be looking at multiple business models for that. At O'Reilly, we're very fortunate to be in a business segment, in a publishing segment where the subscription model really works. And so Safari Books Online is our second biggest channel after Amazon, bigger than Barnes & Noble for us. And that's basically people say, oh yeah, I need access to all this technical content, I'll pay a monthly subscription fee. And then, sort of direct, downloadable ebooks that we sell directly from our site is, sort of our fourth biggest sort of individual channel. So, we have different, models that, all add up in a good way, and even in the ebook space, obviously we're selling direct from our site, we're selling through Kindle, we're selling through iBooks, we're selling through as apps on the App Store, not just as books, but as apps, and all those things together, are adding up. Just like when you think of print publishing, you have a paperback, you have a hardback, you have an audiobook, you have, you try to get all these different ways that you monetize. I think you have to think the same way in electronic. And the good news, is that this electronic ecology is going to get better. And so much of what what gives me comfort, if you like, is having been there at the front end of the World Wide Web. You know, when I put up GNN, there were like 200 websites, and it was very small. And we had this idea that the web could be supported by advertising, but nobody believed us. So we had to commission a $50,000, you know, average study about, you know, would advertising ever take off on the web? You know, there was not, you know, the first advertisers, we actually had to host their pages because they now to put up their own website. Everything was really hard. And it got easier and easier, and the ecosystem got richer and richer. And now, of course, it's a, you know, multi-billion-dollar, you know, market, and with all kinds of business models. And I think, you know, so just take heart from the fact that we're early on. And think back to your own experience if you've been around publishing. You know, when paperbacks first came into the market, it was this little thing, and then it became bigger than hardbacks. You know, yeah, there's going to be a time when ebooks are going to be bigger than print books, and there's going to be more ways of selling them, and people are going to come up with clever business models.